Yeah, I don't know who's going to be here, but this is Sheets, and I'm going to be going over the World Cup slate for today. Just trying to expand on the offerings, just essentially on what's become of interest to me, and that's what I've always decided to do with this channel and with this project. Is as things become more interesting to me, I want to just do more of that. And I'm going to have DFS Chan coming on here in a few minutes. He's caught in traffic, but you know what? I gave him very little notice to see if he can come on here, and I really do appreciate him taking time out of his day to do this, because he is the resident DFS soccer expert, and I would love to get his takes on this. I've been really, I don't want to say putting in volume in the wrong way, but I've been really paying attention to the World Cup slates, even more so than I did for the EPL. And we talked about this in previous videos. I really enjoy the layout of the World Cup slates, even more than the EPL slates. And it's probably because of my, I don't want to say ignorance, but because of, well, let's put it this way. I can't really follow 4 soccer games at the same time. And that's the way EPL works. They have 4 soccer games at the same time. You got one on a TV maybe, and maybe you have 2 on Peacock or whatever. And I honestly can't really know what I'm rooting for when I'm staring at 4 soccer games at the same time. It's not like poker where I can play 20 games at a time or whatever it is. Soccer is just very weird to me like that. And when they broke it down this way with the World Cup, where it was one game, then a break, then one game, then a break, it was absolutely perfect for me. Not to mention that because there's late swap, you can adjust after each match, and they give you a nice little window to do that. And I think that's a really good formula. Now again, you're not going to be able to change the way EPL schedules, so it's just forever going to be tough for me to really embrace the EPL format. But this World Cup format, I think it's great. Now today's slate is kind of a hybrid of those, because you have 2 games going at 10, and this is all Eastern time, then a break, then 2 games going at 2. And the reason for that is because it's actually quite sharp of the World Cup. I don't think about this stuff. Is they want to make sure that the groups that are depending on each other for results don't have kind of that hour look to see what the other team did. They have the teams playing together within the same time frame, so that everybody, there's no collusion, there's no gaming the system, like sometimes happens in the NFL at the last week of the season. So I think that's pretty sharp. So what they do is they have the 2 games going on at 10, and then the 2 games going on at 2. So what I want to talk about today, and I think that the lineups for Denmark and Australia are out. I don't yet have, let me just refresh it. I don't yet have the lineups for France and Tunisia. Oh, yes, I think they are out. Okay, excellent. Tunisia is out and France is out. So the first thing I'm going to do, again, this is great because we have plenty of time to discuss all this, plenty of time to do whatever, to build lineups. It doesn't take that long to build soccer lineups. So what I am going to do while we're waiting for Chan is I'm going to, first of all, I'm going to update the projections, right? And that usually will happen within about 15 minutes or so. And then we can build. Now, again, building on a slate like this is kind of 2-pronged, right? You have to look at the first set of games, and you also have to look at the second set of games. And, it's kind of like late swap in other sports, is that in one way you want to kind of push everything back so that you can, if things aren't going your way, you can change your lineups, right? You can juice it up a little bit, and if things are going your way, you can kind of tighten it up. And I think it's pretty interesting. Now, the first thing that you'll notice, which Kevin has just reminded us, is that it looks as though France has benched all of their starters. And the reason for that, and this is one of the things we're going to talk about, hopefully when when Chan gets here, is the concept of motivation, right? Soccer, this is a long stretch, this World Cup. So you want to have people as healthy as possible. And so when a team like France has moved along, they have no real incentive to play all their starters and risk injury. Now, again, I was going to ask Chan about this, about what France is going to do, because everybody else needs to win. Okay, everybody else needs to win. I think of the other 7 teams, every one of them pretty well needs to win. But France was the only one that didn't need to win, and I was wondering if it mattered to them whether they win the group or not. I always thought that it was important to get your as best of a seed as possible, but I guess the France coach answered my question rather forcefully, that it's much more important to keep these guys rested, and to keep these guys rested, and to whatever, and risk maybe losing the #1 seed. Okay, so the first thing I think that I want to look at, and again, the projections are going to reflect all this, but I would like to look really quickly at the sports book and see what the odds have done, specifically in that game, since the line came out. Yeah, so now you have Tunisia, who was originally a +800, is now a +500. So France's money line is now the same as Denmark's. Okay, so these are going to be kind of treated the same. And then you have Argentina, who is a slightly bigger favorite than Denmark, and who is a slightly bigger favorite than France. So the France thing is interesting because on the one hand, they're not particularly motivated, yet still they have guys in there, right? And the guys that are in there are probably not going to get subbed out because they already subbed out the starters. So you're probably going to be getting, I guess, like full minutes out of whoever it is that's in there, and they are going to be a -165 favorite. They're not exactly a pick 'em or anything like that. They're still close to Denmark and close enough to Argentina, where if we could figure out which of these France guys, rate to be the top plays, I think that they're going to be pretty low owned. I would think. So I don't even know if it's necessarily low owned, but they're certainly going to rate as good values. And again, this is before I even see the projections updated, but that seems to be somewhat logical, right? I just saw actually a line move just as we're talking about this. So what we have is, I think that the concept of motivation has been kind of replaced by, I don't think it's an issue anymore, because France has, the guys that are in there for France are motivated. You know what I mean? A lot of these guys are subs normally, and they would love to score a goal in the World Cup. No, they would love to show out in the World Cup. So I think that the guys that are on the can I say this, on the pitch, not bad, on the pitch for France are pretty live here. We just got to figure out who that is, because usually in soccer you kind of know who is going to be taking all the set pieces, or at least who's going to be splitting them. And I think that with the main guys out, I think there's a lot of variance with respect to those predictions, right? I don't think there's a lot of, you think about this in terms of NBA. NBA, there's you could see when guys are out how other guys do as far as usage goes. Is there stats on that? I wonder if there's anything like that with France. I mean, there's not. There can't be anything, right? There can't be anything where there's enough stats with all the France guys out that we can know who's going to be the big set piece takers. So what I think is probably the smart idea is, if it's somehow possible to know who's going to be high owned from France, it's probably a good idea to fade them. that's going to be my overall take on the France situation. And this is all developing, right? I didn't think about this overnight. I didn't know. I'm just kind of talking through this, and with any luck, Chan will be here relatively soon, and he can kind of go over this. So let me just see for now if some projections have been updated, because I think these projections are going to be very fragile on the France side. I mean, unless the guys that run projections, like, really, I just can't believe it. I just can't believe that they didn't even update them yet. I literally cannot believe that the projection models are going to properly deal with this France stuff. Let me just see. I mean, I really only use like 4 models for soccer. There he is. Hey, what's going on, Chan?
How's it going?
Yeah, let me get. How's your sound? A little better?
Yeah, sounds great.
I don't hear you that well. Can you, any way you can? Try again?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, talk a little louder.
Yeah, let me.
Yeah, I can't quite hear you. Kevin, can you hear him? Because I don't really hear him that well at all. Try again, Chan. Just say something.
Hear me?
Yes, much better.
Okay, perfect.
Much better. So let me kind of catch you up to speed on what I've said. And then you could. So what I went over just kind of the context of the slate in general, that you have the 2 games and then the 2 games, and then I think it's cool that that they put them together this way. There's no collusion, that one doesn't know what the other one's doing. You have that hour break, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then I talked about this whole idea of motivation, where 7 of the 8 teams need to win, and I was just kind of like wondering before the lineups came out. I was wondering what France was going to do, because I was wondering if it mattered to them to win the group, and I guess the coach answered that question rather forcefully, right, by benching everybody. So what I was talking through, and then you could just kind of take over this concept, is listen, the France money line dropped to about -150, but they're still favored, and this is my thesis or whatever, is that the guys that are in there for France, I mean, they're probably motivated. I mean, they're getting a shot, you know what I mean? And they're getting a shot to score World Cup goals, and they're still favored.
Yeah.
And so, I also feel as though, in the one sense, that probably these France guys, because they're cheap, are probably going to be high owned. But then the last thing I said was, and you can speak to this, is I just wonder how projectable these guys are, because all these other guys that we've come to know and these other teams, like you know who's going to take set pieces for pretty much every team now, right?
Yeah.
And I just wonder if there's data on what's going to happen with France with all of their guys out. Like, if that, or I would imagine there's quite a bit of variance in that. Why don't you catch up and tell me what you think? I guess first of all, the France situation, and then we can talk about the other spots in the other games.
Yeah. So I'll keep it short and brief, because I think we only have 45 minutes before the lock. But
that's plenty of time. Come on.
No, but I do think we have an edge here. Just given the France has a bunch of rotation here. France does not need to win, in my opinion, because Australia. I don't think Australia is going to win today and beat Denmark. Australia is the only team that's threatening that first spot out of the group. But Denmark is favored in that game. So I think France is not really worried about finishing first or second. I think they just want to rest their players. So given the rotation, I think this is the edge where we probably want to attack. I do think France provides some good value players today. I think the set pieces situation is interesting. I think it's going to be split between Vertout and Coman. I think Vertout is a great play today at 5,200. I think I saw last time. And then Coman might take some set pieces, but I think it's going to be mostly Vertout. Like, he's going to be in probably 90% of my lineups, I think.
Oh, that's awesome.
Okay. I think France is still going to, dictate the possession. Sometimes when they make this many rotations, in a team like this, they tend to struggle, but I think France is that much better than Tunisia. I think France will still dominate possession, so I think Veritout is a great play. I do think Coman and then Guendouzi on the other side of the field provide really great open play values. So I think both guys are pretty cheap compared to like what Mbappe and then Griezmann were. So I think it opens up some value to play higher quality players in other position. So that's kind of my
Who are the three guys? Vertout, Coman, and who else?
Guendouzi,
What position is he?
number 6 up top on the right side.
3,700.
Is he? Okay. So I think a lot of people will play him, but he is not as good of a player as like Coman or Veritout. But he's cheap.
Is the goalie the normal starter?
No, it's not. So that's another thing. So Mandanda, I don't know much about him, but I think France will still dominate possession. I don't think I'll pay up to play him. I'm sure the goalies are kind of lumped together in terms of pricing based on which team you play for. I don't know if I'll pay up. Yours is usually the starter. Mandanda is starting today.
So okay. So that pretty much takes care of France. Would you play any Tunisia? And if so, who do you like for Tunisia?
Yeah, Tunisia. My favorite is Ben Slimane, number 25.
Oh, I remember him. Yeah. Okay.
Minimum price, almost minimum price midfielder, I think. He takes some of the set pieces for them. He started in the first game. He didn't have the best game, but I think France playing their B squad opens up some open play value for Ben Slimane, given his position today on the starting lineup as well. He is my favorite, but if you think Tunisia will score a goal, I mean, France's defense has been a little bit more leaky than other elite teams in the tournament. So I can definitely see Tunisia scoring one here against this lineup. That's why I don't think I'm gonna pay up to play Mandanda, the French goalie. But if Tunisia were to score, yeah, I mean, Khazri is a good play at the striker position. On Ramdane, the number 15. I mean, he's another good player too. So, I mean, if you think Tunisia will counterattack and score a goal, I mean, I think that's a good pick. But I think there's just enough value to go around on this slate, given the rotations by France. I don't know if you need to play them because I just don't see them score 2 or 3. I think the ceiling and the upside is not that high.
And now I've been actually doing I've been doing pretty well in the World Cup, and I've been trying to figure out like how GPP lineups are supposed to be built. I mean, if you were going to play Tunisia, for example, would you be okay with just playing one of them, or do you like to play like one or like 2 or 3 from the same team?
No, I would just play 1 or 2 because, like I said, the goal upside is low for Tunisia, so I just don't think having 3 people scoring 20 plus is minimal.
So and it's not like hockey. So in hockey, for example, if you get 1 goal and you have 3 guys that are involved in the goal, I mean, like that's like a really, really big deal. So it's not like you need to have 3 guys from a team if they're gonna score a goal, I suppose. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I'd play max 2 for Tunisia.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now Denver, Australia. You have both teams need to win. Mm-hmm. Denmark is tied with Argentina at this point for being the biggest favorite. I guess we'll start with Denmark, right? I mean listen, from what I've looked at, I mean it looks as though the guy you would want to start with is Eriksen, but what other guys from Denmark do you like? How would you prioritize Eriksen over other guys at the position? Like what do you like on Denmark?
I like their striker a lot. Braithwaite, number 9. He didn't start last game, but he is starting today. He is one of those strikers, kind of like Harry Kane, that actually has a decent floor. So I favor him quite a bit. And those strikers that come with somewhat of a floor are very valuable in soccer DFS. Okay. They don't really come by that often, so I really like him a lot today. I might play him even over Coman from France. I think Braithwaite is a little cheaper than Coman. I think Denmark has to push a lot today to win this game to qualify for the next round. I like him quite a bit, and then obviously, like you said, I would pair him up with Eriksen. I think Eriksen might Messi might be the highest owned guy today, but Ericsson might be the second highest owned player on this slate. But I think he is the engine for that team. He takes everything. He takes penalty kicks, corner kicks, indirect free kicks. I mean everything for them. So and he is in a more offensive position today compared to where he could have been. Like he sometimes plays in the center midfielder position where Matthias Jensen plays and Hoiberg are playing today. So I like Ericsson to push quite a bit in this lineup. So I think Ericsson is a good chalk. So
the defense. Do you like Male? Like anybody
Mhm.
defense or Denmark?
So yeah, that was gonna be my next point. Male's good. He's a good player. I am a little more hesitant to not play him today. I think I would have played him given the projected lineup yesterday. As of yesterday, today he's in the back four. So sometimes Denmark would play 3-5-2, where Male is in more of an advanced position to go up and down. But today he's in the back four. So he's not going to be up the field as much. So that kind of makes me hesitant a little bit. And he's very expensive. I think he's a great GPP play, just given that, if Denmark has to push on the flanks, I think he's going to be the one that's going to go up and down and cross the ball 10 times, if not more than that. So I like that for GPP, but I think he's a little too expensive for cash. So
And now the Australia side, again, I've watched enough of the World Cup now, just know a little bit too much, enough to be dangerous. So I have two guys, that I would bring up on Australia, and then you can tell me who you like. First of all, the obvious for me would be Matthew Ryan at 3,900 in goal. And you have Denmark who's going to be pushing, and you have a $3,900 goaltender. I mean, it's probably decent. And the other guy who I guess burned some people, or people misread what he's going to do in this last game, but Aaron Moy in his last game was kind of like the value du jour who only scored six fantasy points. Do you still like him? I don't know if you liked him at all in the first place, but those are the two guys that I remember from Australia. Who do you like from Australia, if in any? Those two guys, anybody else?
Yeah, I don't think I'll play Aaron Mui today, just given that Denmark is going to have the ball probably at least 70 or 80% of the time of the match. I think Australia is built more for a counterattack, so I think they might score a goal on a counterattack. But in terms of like floor points and having opportunities to create scoring chances, I just do not see Aaron Mui score very well unless he's involved in a goal. I think like kind of like Tunisia, I'm interested in playing Australia as like a one-off or two, max two. I think Mitchell Duke, obviously the striker for them is an interesting piece. Denmark has not been the best team as some people have expected. So Mitchell Duke for the goal scoring upside, and then actually Craig Goodwin is another pick that I would, if I in like a big GPP, I would definitely play Craig Goodwin. He's probably been their best player in my opinion for Australia on the left flank. So I would definitely play him over anybody on Australia.
Is Ryan your favorite goaltender?
It depends on how you think the game will go, right? Like you
obviously.
said.
Well, how do we think the game? I mean, no. I only say that because I align this slate to kind of like basketball in that you want to play studs if you could get away with it, and if you can't get away with it, you have to make the concessions. And I think that if you want to play Messi, and it became much easier with all this France value that kind of came out, so maybe you don't need to play the 3,900 for the goalie. Maybe you can get away with just going for the, paying over the Denmark guy, getting the clean sheet and be done with it. If you could still get up to Messi, and we'll get to him in like 5 seconds. Maybe the slate is such that because of this France value that you don't need to punt goalie. Maybe you could get whoever you want without having to do that.
Exactly. That's kind of where I was going. I think I would pay up for a goalie today. You saw yesterday, paying up for US goalie and then England goalie, like the favorite goalies paid off yesterday. I think in the last match of the group stage like this, once a team scores a goal, like if Denmark scores the first goal, I think they're gonna sit back a little bit and kind of play more defensively, kind of secure that 1-0 victory or 2-0 victory, kind of like how USA was yesterday. So I would probably lean on playing a favorite goalie today. I think Denmark could, Denmark is not like France where they would just pepper shots and creating saving chances for Ryan. So I just feel like I would just pay up today.
Okay, first of all, I'll take 30 seconds to answer this question. Do you err on the side of pushing things back to the later games in general because of the ability to late swap, or you don't think that's that big a deal, or like on this slate, are there enough like kind of like ties go to the runners that you would push stuff back, or just I guess that's in general soccer type take, because again it's different World Cup as opposed to EPL where everything goes off at the same time. You don't have that same dynamic. Have you been doing a little bit of that in World Cup, or you don't? You just make the best plays and just
I have like that one slate with Portugal. I had Bruno Fernandes, who scored 2 goals, I think, in the late match. Just put me back in the cash line.
Nice.
But yeah, I mean, I think it depends on which teams are involved, right? Like today we have Mexico and Argentina, who both of the teams have to push and win. I think a lot of the French players will be very popular, just given the rotation and they're cheap. But I think there's some value in EV waiting to see what Argentina's lineup looks like, and then playing somebody with Messi, right? Like I think that's probably gonna be what intrigues me the most. And then Mexico pieces are gonna be interesting too. I think Mexico is gonna dominate that game. I think Mexico's set piece takers, a good Viga, and then
Well,
Lozano also interesting. So and then
well,
Chavez.
yeah,
Yeah.
we'll get there. Let's just do
Yeah.
Argentina, Poland first, because again, so
Yeah.
One thing I've been really, really good. Actually, I'm actually 3 for 3 in my soccer bets during the World Cup, and one of them was actually Poland in their win. So I'm a little biased here, and I played the Zelensky and I played the
Mhm.
Lewandowski or whatever it is. And again, I
Mhm.
realize that it's a different matchup, against Argentina. But those are like the two guys that I'm just kind of used to. So these are the guys I guess I would ask about if you wanted to play the Poland side. And the Argentina side, I mean, look, I think about this in terms of like NBA, like when you have guys like Luca and
Mhm.
Giannis at like over 12K, it can be kind of scary sometimes to build
Mhm.
lineups and you know, but with this dynamic of Messi just being a one-man wrecking crew and they need to win and all this stuff, um, it and the fact you can get him in, I mean, listen, the GPP player in me wants to fade him if you want to know the truth, but it's maybe that's just foolish. I mean, the way I look at it is, Argentina needs to win, but everybody needs to win. It's not like Poland doesn't get paid too. Like listen, they're an underdog, but if I'm the freaking coach and I'm Poland, I'm like, let's freaking bracket this dude, whatever, and see what we can do. I don't want Messi to beat me.
Yeah.
Poland's gonna win also. So I don't know. That's the way I look at it. But is that just dumb? You
No.
just play Messi and then try to get different elsewhere. I mean, what are your takes on both these teams?
Yeah, I would easily fade Messi and GPP. I actually think Ericsson is a better play than Messi today on this slate.
Nice.
Um, I think, yeah, people will see the game logs and scores and all that, but Argentina just hasn't been the same type of a team we expected them to be. I mean, I think there's a good chance they might lose. There's a good chance they might tie. I think they're still gonna dictate the possession and everything. They're still gonna have the ball quite a bit, which creates a good floor for Messi. But at the end of the day, if you think Argentina is not gonna score, I don't think Messi will get there given that price tag. Um, but if you think Argentina will score one or two, I mean, most people will think they'll score two at least. So I think Messi will be at the end of one of those 2 goals, and I think he might hit value in that regard. But with Messi, I mean, any of those strikers up top, Di Maria or Martinez, would be a good pair up with him. Um, but it's not the worst idea to just play him by himself, Messi, as like a one-off. I think what's gonna be, I think that's probably another route to take down a GPP. I think a lot of people try to pair these, superstars up with another player. But Messi is such a one man crew, wrecking crew, that he just takes penalties. I mean, if there's a penalty and he takes it, yeah, I mean, he's gonna be the only one that's gonna score over 15, 20 points on that team. Di Maria has a substitution risk. Same for Martinez. So I just feel like Messi, and then I think another player that intrigues me from Argentina is Marcos Acuna, their left back. He takes some set pieces, and he has the tendency to go up and down in the open play as well, which increases his ceiling. So Messi and Acuna, and then any of their strikers will probably be the ones that I would play.
So when I first looked at this slate like yesterday, I figured that I would want to just go play Mexico, right? Um,
Hmm.
listen, they need to win. Everybody needs to win,
Yeah,
and that's what I was thinking about. And then I was, then I thought I would say differently. Again, I'm very very jaded. I think about this stuff, and in my head, I was thinking that Mexico was just going to be the team that everybody would play. I didn't know if that was actually going to be the case.
no.
And listen, Saudi Arabia, I mean, first of all, they need to win too.
Hmm.
Mexico is like they're not like they're like minus 800. Like I don't know. Part of me, I will say this is that if I'm not doing all that well after these first two games, I'll probably just play some Saudi Arabia and hope they score and win. It's not like it's not that they beat Argentina, right? Is that not the case?
They did, but
I
it was
mean,
on
well, but that's reality, right? I mean, it happens.
fluky goals.
I
Uh-huh.
mean, whatever. But the point is that yeah, okay. So that was my original take. But listen, the Mexico guys, and you were just starting to talk about it. I had written down like a zillion guys. I had like Lozano written down. Now, again, we
Hmm.
got to watch for the starting lineups or whatever it is. Lozano, Vega. I was just gonna basically wait for you to and the goalie. I was gonna wait for you to do that, and then I need you to go over, if you wouldn't mind, like which I don't want seem racist, but I can't figure out these Saudi Arabian names. So you have to listen. It was hard enough to figure out the different South Korea guys. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah, all the
Um,
Kims. Yeah.
yeah. So if you wouldn't mind, just review like who you would play on Saudi Arabia if in fact you were going to play guys on Saudi
Yeah.
Arabia, because I probably am going to end up playing some.
Yeah, yeah. So I think amongst the four favorites sheets, I think Mexico pieces will be the lowest owned.
Oh,
I think
nice. I
that's
didn't
gonna
know that.
be,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. Just given what I've seen projection wise and everybody talking about pieces, the Mexican players will be the lowest owned compared to Denmark, France, and Argentina. So I think
Yeah.
it's a
Oh,
great play today. And also, I just want to point out, I mean, Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, but guess how many shots on goal they had?
two.
Yep. And they
Okay.
scored how many goals? 2 goals.
Oh, okay.
and they had 30% of possession.
Okay.
So
All right. So
so
that
I
was
just
a
want
fraud.
to
That was a fraud. All right. Okay.
so I think it was fluky. And then against Poland, they played better, but they still lacked possession. So I
Okay.
think Mexico will dominate
Oh, let's
possession
go.
wise.
Here's the plan. I love it. All right. So who we playing?
So yeah, it's just a matter of who you're gonna play, right? So I think Lozano is their best player, but he's not on any of the set pieces. So I
Okay.
think you're just playing him for open play goal scoring upside. And then it depends on who's starting, but Viga is the one who takes a lot of the set pieces for them, and then Chavez in the midfield. Chavez is cheap comparatively, so I think Chavez and Viga you probably have to play one of them if you think they're going to score off of set pieces, which Mexico tends to do quite a bit. They're very creative. And then their fullbacks, Gallardo, and then whoever starts on the other side. Um, yeah, so I just feel like Sanchez maybe. I don't know. So it really is up in the air who's going to
So
start on the
whoever it
other
is,
side.
so whoever starts basically at defense.
And then for Saudi Arabia, yeah, I mean, I think they can score if they. I mean, I think it's going to be a very wide open play, kind of like, um, like they don't really care if they give
Oh,
up a goal. I mean, it's going to be a very up and down match. I think Saudi Arabia will try to counterattack as well. But my favorite player on Saudi Arabia is Kano, Kanno. He is kind of like Ben Slimane, minimum price guy that probably a lot of people will try to play if you want to jam in like Messi and then like Ericsson and all the high price players. Um, but I think Kano and Ben Slimane are the two value punt picks today.
okay.
But Kano actually has been pretty good for Saudi Arabia in the open play. And then set piece wise, Al Dawsari, number 10. His
What
first
position? What position?
left wing. He's number 10. His
So
first name
he-
is Salem.
so he's
So
a
that should
forward.
he should be
Not Saleh. Saleh Al Shaheri? No.
Salem. Al-Dawsari.
Oh, there it is. I got him. 70,
Yeah.
7,200. Okay.
I'm sure it's pronounced Salem, but it's Salem. Yeah.
Okay.
7,200. He's a little pricey, but he takes all of their set pieces. So if you think Saudi Arabia will, score a goal.
We'll have better possessions than they have been so far.
Yeah, I just feel like, I think Mexico will dominate. If I were a betting person,
And
on
we
soccer.
So yeah, we're gonna. I'll be on that. But so your two favorites,
Yeah.
Saudi Arabia is probably would be Cano and Al Dasari.
Yep. Number 10 and number 23.
Okay, so listen, that's great. I'll let you run because I know we all got to build our lineups in time. But real quick, Kevin wants your score predictions. So just give me your 4 score predictions. Go for it.
All right, let's see. The first one is France, right? So I think they're gonna tie. I think the lineup's not great. I mean, I think Tunisia has a pretty good chance to kind of have a 40%, 45% possession as well. I think it's gonna be 1-1. I think the goalies are not great here in this matchup. I think it's gonna be 1-1. I think France will give up a goal as well. And maybe Ben Slimane will be at the end of it. So, and then let's see what the Denmark matchup. I think it's gonna be 1-0, like I mentioned earlier. I think Denmark will score a goal, but Denmark is just not as of a firepower like France is or Argentina is. So I think 1-0 or 2-0 if I have to go further than that. I think Denmark will push quite a bit, so there's a good chance they'll score 2. But if I have to make a prediction, I think it's going to be 1-0 Denmark, and I think Denmark goes through to the next round. And then Argentina is an interesting one. I think Argentina will try to push as well. All 4 teams in that group, have to win. I think Argentina is not as good as people think. I think this is going to be an unpopular opinion, but I think it might be a tie, 0-0 in that matchup. So, and then
Mexico 6-2.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the high scoring game, to be honest with you. I think it's going to be like 3-1, 2-1 in that matchup. I think Mexico will push quite a bit. And Mexico, I don't think their defense is good. I mean, I think they're very good offensively with a lot of those pieces we talked about. But Saudi Arabia, like you saw in Argentina's game, they're very good at counterattack. So Mexico is going to be vulnerable by pushing up all of their players to score a goal. I think that naturally gives up, some space for Saudi Arabia. So I think it's going to be 2-1 Mexico, but I think Mexico will still win.
All right, sounds good. Listen, if you have time between, between the 2 games, if there's anything that comes up in the lineups that you think is relevant, just post it. If you wouldn't mind posting in the Discord, that would be that would be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Chan, for coming on here. I'm really enjoying this. When's the next round start? Does it go right back the next day or?
Yeah, like USA, they play on Saturday.
Oh, okay. So there's not much of a break between the first round and the second round. Oh, awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, great. Good luck, everybody, and hopefully somebody takes it down. Good luck.